there about 10:15 if you do come back.
We're live. We're live. Hey everybody, it's Bob from TNT. It's TNT Tuesday. Thanks for joining. Give you a little update on we missed last week. Just didn't have enough service. We were up in the Black Hills wheeling. Trail tour was last week. Week before was 605 on the rocks. That was a good event. We had 50 Jeeps, so we maxed capacity. I think Cotty said we already had 18, or that leaves 30 available. So don't wait too long. That next year will sell out. We're figuring probably by Christmas. So if you're interested in wheeling with us up in the Black Hills, I think it's 22 through 27 June. Yeah, it sounds about right. It's the last Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday of June. So if you look on your calendar. Trail tour was a hit. We had 20 rigs up there, mostly industry folks. It's kind of our annual vacation. Kind of get away from all the so anyway, we got MojaveLJ suspension is all roughed in. Where you can see Pogo's under it. We're still cycling and fine-tuning a few things. Craig was setting the PSC steering, the hydraulic assist up this morning. I think we're happy with placement. Everything clears. I machined the pitman arm this morning, so we got that all tucked in there. So, you know, lots of detail work, takes time. Up and down, back and forth, make sure everything clears. As you can see, we got our Guardian bumper on. This is our Guardian Pro, has the little extensions out here, protects the end of the sway bar. You don't even see the sway bar, but both the off-road only and the Curry anti-rock tuck in here and are completely protected. Oh, what can we talk about? Obviously, paint work is all done. Kind of did that backwards, but we had opportunity to get it in the paint shop, so it went to paint before we fired up the torch. So Craig's been really careful. So far so good there. You know, you've seen these before. We've talked about them. It's got our full Y-link kit on it. Dual triangulated 4-link rear or Y-link front. I'm going to raise it up so it's going to get noisy for a second. So this one we're doing a full coilover conversion as well. Our towers up top, they tuck the coilover. I don't know if Shane can see it or not, but on a TJ and LJ, there's this, actually this is a good shot here. You can see the little dog leg in the frame. That's where the factory coil spring would be. So we try to tuck our coilover right centered into that dog leg to give you the most room when it articulates. So towers, there's a little, you can move them back and forth a little bit. It's a fabricator part. There is no hard set rule where it has to be, but you know, somewhere in that dog leg is where you want your coilover. So you'll get the towers, a set of tabs where you give you 2 different sets of tabs, so you can kind of mix and match how you want that lower and where you want that lower to be. The only way to really do it is fully cycle it. You know, make sure you got tire clearance, frame clearance, you know, so you can play with that lower a little bit. These are a newer part. I mean, I've been building them for years here in the custom shop. It's a lower control arm and bump target. It's all one piece as it comes from us. Obviously, it's a bunch of pieces we jig and weld. And then when we're all done, there is a piece that closes this in. So you have a fully boxed bump target. Manufacturing, you'd never get it on the axle tube. So you can fit these, and then you put that piece in last. We just haven't put them in yet because there's no point, because we got to take it all apart to weld it. Another cool thing with our coilover kit is it puts the coilover on the back side of the axle so we can lengthen the track bar. Typically, even though this is a JK axle, a typical TJ track bar, this bolt would be ish. So we're giving you about 6 inches longer track bar. And with a JK axle conversion, I think Craig and I finally decided on 35 7/8 is our drag length, and our track bar is 35 1/4. So they're damn near the same, but I like to keep the track bar just a hair shorter, so it actually creates a bind, if you will. Gives you good road feel. These things drive like they're on rails when it's all said and done. Customer on this one also wanted air bumps, so we French a can right into the frame. You do that, you get the coilovers set up first, and then this straight leg on the coilover tower is where the bump stop goes. Just slide it up against there, mark the frame, hole saw that out so you can French that can half into the frame, and it really makes it pretty simple. Probably notice the exhaust is cut off while it's under there. We do have to shorten. The typical factory exhaust comes clear over to the frame here, and it interferes with the Y-link arm, so we end up taking, I think it's about 3.5 inches out of that, and then that bend will sit back here and we'll re-weld it up. We haven't done that yet because this Jeep's got over 100,000 miles on it. The catalytic converters are questionable. You know, the scanner and everything's still reading, they're still doing their job. But if you're gonna do custom work in the exhaust, we're waiting on a new set of Flowmaster catalytic converters to show up for it. So while we're waiting on that, Craig's gonna do some maintenance. Typical 4-liter rear main oil leak. We'll put a new rear main seal and an oil pan gasket in it. Get all that out of the way so we can start finishing the exhaust out. We got all our pieces here. Use a Flowmaster muffler, they fit real nice. We do all of our exhaust work with mandrel bends so we can turn tight corners and go around and up and through, and we can do exhausts that you so that's really the last major fabrication project, is to put a full exhaust system all the way out through a tailpipe. So suspension, now that we got steering, that was the last piece in the front end. All of that clears and fits and everything cycles good. So we're done with the front, obviously tearing it apart, welding and painting and powder coating and doing all of that, but fab work is done up here now. Take that back. We still got to put link mounts for the sway bar. That's pretty straightforward. We've got several builder parts we can go get from Marion Manufacturing and make that work. The rear end, unfortunately, I only got 2 sets of stands. Can't really droop the rear end out because Craig's got it strapped all the way up to fit his exhaust through. Anytime you do a dual triangulated rear suspension, exhaust is interesting because you have to weave it through the control arms that are going in opposite directions. So we typically start with them at full bump stop and get the exhaust to wrap through there, and then you have no clearance issues. Get our Guardian sliders. I know we've talked about this before, but it's here. It's pretty easy to see. It has our raised body mount, so this Jeep does have a 1-inch body lift in it, but it's all done in the mounting. There is no body lift spacers per se. We've raised all the brackets up. So it has these three here. Obviously the grill, that has our steering box stretch. So there's a new grill mount that comes with that, so we can eliminate the our rear weld-on cross member with D-ring mount. So you got a very minimalistic bumper that also has the 1-inch body lift built into it. As you can get it with or without. Obviously we chose to go with. And then Craig's working on, the customer requested a little corner protection because we did not stretch this LJ. The rear wheelbase is essentially factory. So the corner gets a little vulnerable on an LJ in the rocks. So he asked if we could whip up some, and you know, we do custom stuff here in the shop, so that's easy. Bent some tube, and we're actually talking this morning, we're gonna tuck the tailpipe right through here so that the tailpipe is completely protected. Usually the tailpipe will come down underneath here, and in heavy rock terrain, you can still smash it. So we'll transition from under the frame and come up a little bit here and dump it, so you'll never be able to smash the exhaust. This one also has our, and it's impossible to see because the gas tank's in it, but it has our cross member that goes up here where where that set of body mounts is. We take that factory cross member out that has your shock mounting on it, cut all that out, and put a inverse hat channel, if you will, so it straddles the body mount is down inside, so we can gain maximum up travel. Anytime you're running any kind of triangulated suspension with a link mount up on top of the diff, that factory cross member really limits your up travel. So we're able to raise that about 1.5 inches from stock. Gains you that much more up travel. Like I said, I can't droop it because he's getting ready to start exhaust this afternoon, so we got it held up at full compression. But you can see the reservoirs hanging out here. It is a rear, we've converted the rear to coilovers as well. So we have that kit for you guys that want to do that. Works both LJ and a TJ. It's a French in the frame kit. So you have to take a portion of the frame out, not the back wall, but everything else, and that fits into that pocket. Gets fully welded. There's some back gusseting. We'll get a kit laid out, so Mary's got to update the pictures on the website, but that is available. Other than that, you know, pretty run-of-the-mill LJ. It is a Genrite tank. We use Tony's tanks quite a bit. This is his, I think he calls it the Safari tank. I don't know, it's the biggest one he makes, 31 gallons, 31.5 gallons. This gentleman's out of Southern Cal, likes to play out in the Mojave a lot, and gas is a problem. So he wanted the biggest tank we could put in it. You know, you can't see it, but I can't put my hand. The cover just about touches the tank. It all clears, but you know, typically we do everything on about a 2 credit card thickness clearance. So, you know, you just got to take your time and adjust stuff. I know I got a couple of guys out there with kits at home building right now, and they're a little frustrated. It takes time. You got to be able to cycle them. You got to put stuff where it's got to be. You just, you know, this isn't necessarily right a weekend, you know, bolt-on brand X kit. You got to be able to fit things and dial them all in, and once you get them there, Jeeps work great. So other than that, you know, we're Curry axled front and rear on this one, JK width, Curry sends me. I just had another set delivered this morning. They usually send them to me if I ask with no brackets, so that we can just put our brackets where they need to be and don't have to cut stuff off. Trail ready wheels, you know, we've been using Larry's wheels since day one. Bitchin' wheel, American made, you know. This particular Jeep has Maxxis tire on it. Good all-around tire. I really don't have a preference on tire. Just whatever the customer wants. So, is there any? Did you see any specific questions come across?
No.
Nothing. Okay. If you have any questions, as normal, type them in. Shane will get this all configured and put on YouTube and our Facebook page. Well, it's on our Facebook page, but put a comment if you think of a question you want something answered. This Jeep will still be here for another probably 3 weeks to a month. Once we get all the suspension done, it goes back in the fab room and gets a full cage. There again, kind of backwards in the timeline, but we didn't have a choice. Our painter had an opening, so we had to take advantage of it. So another couple of weeks and we should be out running this one around, fine. A few new scratches, a few new bruises, but for the most part, jump in it and drive it wherever. We're AC quit working, which really sucked. It was hot. So we're tuning the AC system up today and getting that back running again. Other than that, I don't know a whole lot. Probably go back to manufacturing with Mary here coming up quick. We haven't done one of them in a while. Maybe set her up for that next week.
JT sliders.
Yeah, we're gonna finalize, you know, after being gone for 10 days or 2 weeks or whatever it was. First couple of days I get kind of sidetracked with getting everything back in order and seeing where we're at. I had to make some parts for the guys yesterday since I was gone. So probably the end of this week, maybe this weekend, I'll finalize the production version of the JT slider, get them test fitted. So maybe we can talk about them next week. And then next up on the JT order is skid plates. You know, I've got a couple of people asking already. We are getting a diesel JL. Should have it here in the shop tomorrow or Thursday, just to take that initial look, see what's in the weeds. And I'm hearing there's lots of stuff in the weeds. See if we can figure out a skid plate system for it. So stay tuned. The JL, JT stuff will be coming. I know Mary's got a few odds and ends already stashed for her truck. We probably won't do that build till August. Get everything collected up and just knock it out and get it done. And then last but not least, for exploring, fall adventure is on. Until the Politburo tells us we can't. But as of right now, we're good to go. Those emails will go out this week. I know I said I was going to get them done before South Dakota, and I just ran out of time. So that's on my docket for this afternoon. There are not really any spaces left, but please send me an email, because you never know, with somebody cancels, whatever happens, a space will come open here and there. So if you're still wanting to go, shoot me an email at info@forexploring, and I'll add you to the list. That is May, I wish, October 17th through, shouldn't do math in public, 22nd, that week. Frizz and I will be at KO, Kennesaw Off-Road, KOAR, I think is what the acronym is. It's up in the UP of Michigan, mid-September. So plenty of mosquito repellent, probably some bug nets. Although I grew up there, they're not that bad that time of year. So Frizz and I will be up there for a couple days, middle of September. Other than that, I think we're around here until Labor Day. I am going to put together a little Labor Day thing. So watch for Exploring for that. We'll get some info out on that. It'll be local, Colorado, as much as possible. Just over the long weekend, do some pass collecting. So other than that, have a good Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week over at Manufacturing with Mary. So